We don't talk about money. How much you earn and how much you save is supposed to be one of your closely guarded secrets. But why? Surely by being transparent about how much we earn and save, we can all figure out whether what we're buying or how much we're earning is actually good value. And so I want to do something about that. And so I want to start off with this video. And so in this one, I'm going to share with you how much I spend living on my own as a 29-year-old in London. Hopefully this gives you some transparency about what real life living costs are. Maybe you're thinking about moving out, or maybe it's just something that you're going to do in the future. But I want to give you a very open and transparent look into how much it actually costs to live in London. Welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, I'm Kieran Panchal, and here I help you navigate the crazy decade that is your 20s. And so if you're trying to figure out life just like me, consider joining me on this journey by subscribing down below. Now, when I was researching this video, when I was doing a bit of YouTube searching, when I was reading some blogs, I was kind of disappointed by what I found. And I was disappointed because the videos were made by big YouTubers, people with like multiple streams of income with like digital products and NFTs and stuff. And I was like, I can't relate to these at all. And so before I get into talking about how much I actually do spend on a monthly basis, I wanted to preface this video by saying I only have one source of income. That is my full-time job as a management consultant for NTT Data. And so all of the money I spend all comes out from that one monthly salary. And so hopefully that gives you a bit of context as to how and why I spend my money. And hopefully it's relatable to you. Okay, so let's start off with the big one, and that is your mortgage, which for me is approximately £1,000 a month. Now, to put it in context, I live in a one-bedroom apartment in North London. Now, I was fortunate enough to be able to buy this place at the age of 25. That was due to some help from my parents, but the fact that I was fortunate enough after uni to move back home, and so I was able to save like a madman whilst I was working those first couple of jobs. Now, it wasn't a glamorous lifestyle, but it was something that I was willing to sacrifice at the time to be able to get onto the property ladder as soon as I could. Now, on top of the mortgage payment, the other things to consider when it comes to the cost of kind of just living or being in a space is that I pay £150 a month service charge, and that's just for the company to service the communal areas, fix the lifts, all that type of stuff. That is non-negotiable, you have to pay for, and that differs based on the amount of space you have in your apartment and the different building blocks around the country and around the world. And then I pay a £200 yearly ground rent charge, and that is just to basically be on this ground, on this piece of land. And then I pay £100 a month council tax. And a good thing about the council tax here in the UK is that if you live on your own, you do get a 25% discount. And also, if you're a student, you have to pay absolutely no council tax. So that might increase for me in the future, but for me, council tax is £100 a month. And so totaling those all things up is a good way of thinking about how much it's actually going to cost you to just live. Next up is my car. I have an Audi A1, which I've owned for around about 3 years. And on a monthly basis, that is £300 a month for me. And that's just for the car payment. That's not including petrol, insurance, any other maintenance, and kind of just general wear and tear. That is just the price of the financing that I've agreed. Now, I could have decided to get a much cheaper car and pay a lot less on a monthly basis for my car, but I decided the fact that, look, it's my car, I'm gonna be driving it frequently, and it's something that, I wanna feel comfortable and happy in, which is why I decided to spend a little bit more. Now, this is definitely something in the future that I think I can cut down on, just the reason because I've just realized that the car is just to get you there from A to B. Like, it really doesn't matter what brand it is, whether it's German, Japanese, whatever. And so it's definitely something in the future I'm gonna try and cut my costs down on. But just to give you a kind of a rough idea, I spend about £300 a month on that. And by the time you add in roughly £50 a month for petrol, and you probably add in about another £30, £40 a month for insurance, it does add up. So next is groceries. And if I've learned anything about living on my own for the past 3 years, is that buying groceries when you're living on your own is actually way more expensive than when you're buying groceries when you're living with other people. And that's just because the supermarkets can't create economies of scale when they're creating smaller things. And so, a 2-pack of something might be £2, but a 1-pack is like £1.50, And so it doesn't necessarily always equate to cheaper groceries. And so for me, I spend roughly around £150 a month on my grocery shopping. Now, I shop at Asda here in the UK, which is not the cheapest, but not the most expensive. I think it's kind of in the middle somewhere. Everyone's very tribal here on their supermarket. So let me know in the comments down below which supermarket you prefer here in the UK. But Asda is my choice. I spend about £150 a month. Now, I try and cook in as much as possible. Now, obviously, there are some days where I just can't be asked and I end up getting Deliveroo or Uber Eats or whatever. But on the whole, pretty much I'd say 6 days out of 7, I end up cooking at home. And so that grocery shopping bill for me goes a long way to basically feeding me for the entire week. Next is subscriptions. And for me, this has grown exponentially over the past couple of years. I feel like everyone's getting in on this whole subscription model these days. Every company wants to get your direct debit details so that they can charge you on a monthly basis. So for me, my monthly subscriptions include Apple Music, Google Drive, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Epidemic Sound, Now TV, Free Trade, charity donation, and a gym. Now that probably isn't even as many as some people. I've stripped that down actually quite a bit, but it's just crazy how many different subscriptions we have. But it's just become like a new way of how we pay for things. And so that totals for me around about £100 a month. And so that's kind of just like the cost of living these days. I kind of just factored into it. A lot of those things are really entertainment. Entertainment are really the ones that are companies that I think have really capitalized on this whole subscription model. And so I don't probably need all of these and probably cut down on them. But that's a good thing about subscriptions. Most of them are very flexible. And so you can just pick it up when you want and drop it off when you need. But currently for me, it's around £100 a month on all of those different subscriptions. All right, so on top of the cost of living in this space, we need to do things in this space, right? We need internet for doing things and making videos and uploading stuff. We need gas, we need electric. And so all of those things are things that you need to consider when you're thinking about buying a place or renting a place. And so for me, all of those things approximate to about £70 a month. Now again, that could be less, but I want faster broadband because I want to upload these videos quicker. I want to, stream online and things like that. So there are areas across my budget which I have the flexibility of kind of going down on or going up on. And I think that's a really important point to think about when you think about your monthly finances. You want to give yourself the flexibility so that if your circumstances change, you can either flex up or flex down. But for me, those kind of other general living costs approximate to about £70 a month. The other way I spend my money is through saving and investing. And this was a financial habit I got myself into very, very early on, pretty much from when I started earning my first paycheck. And that is to regularly save every single month. And so essentially to dollar cost average on a monthly basis. And I try to aim for saving £750 a month. And so that goes into initially my stocks and shares ISA, but sometimes a bit of that goes into crypto, but £750 is my target on a monthly basis to put into savings or investments. And then on the top of all of this, I spend around £300 a month roughly on kind of going out and doing things. One of the things that I was fearful of when I first bought a place was that I'd be so financially constrained by just maintaining this place that I'd actually have no money to go out and do things, spend time with friends. And so that's one of the things that I would definitely recommend considering if you are buying a place or maybe upgrading where you are renting from, is to still make sure you have enough time to actually enjoy life. It can be really great to have somewhere to live, somewhere to own, but it could very easily feel like you can be trapped in it just because you have no money or means to actually go out and do the things with your friends or with your family. And so for me, as I said, it's about £300 a month, and that includes things like going to restaurants and stuff, travel. I'm in London, I want to go into central London, all those types of things, going out to, doing activities, all of those different types of things. Now, obviously during the pandemic, that amount reduced pretty much to zero. Now it's starting to creep back up again as things are opening up and we're doing a lot more. And so through the pandemic, it was great to have this kind of extra surplus of money that I was initially spending on just going out and having a good time that I was able to allocate to different things, buying equipment, investing a little more other months. And so that's also another point that I'd highly recommend, is to be flexible with your budget. Don't be so rigid on a monthly basis because the world changes, you change. And so you need to be flexible to put your money to the things that will have the biggest impact onto your life, rather than just spending money or investing money on a monthly basis without changing based on however the world around you is also changing. All said and done, I spend around £2,370 a month on all of my expenses to just live, exist, and have a life. Now, coming out of the pandemic through the rest of 2022, I expect this to go up. We've seen lots of articles around inflation increasing and expecting to increase throughout the rest of 2022 and going into 2023. So the cost of living, just even groceries and broadband and electricity and all that type of stuff, is only going to go up. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that touches £2,500 by the middle of this year in terms of how much I'm spending on a monthly basis. Plus, as things open up, you want to capitalize on being at home for the last 2 years and do more stuff. So that will inevitably increase in cost for me as well. But hopefully this video was relatable. That was the purpose of this video. I wanted to give a real real look as to how much it actually costs to live and work and enjoy life in London. So hopefully this gave you an insight into that. Now, obviously do want to make more videos on this kind of whole financial transparency space. It's just the first of many. And if you enjoyed this type of content and want to check out more of my content about money and financial tips, I have a whole playlist here called Money Matters. So if you want to learn some more financial management tips, go check out the playlist. There's some really good and really useful videos in there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.